25 drivers start every season in Formula One. And each year, 2 of us die. What kind of person does a job like this? Not normal men for sure. Rebels, lunatics, dreamers. People who are desperate to make a mark and are prepared to die trying.
And welcome back to Schlock Awe Twinning Titles, where we take 2 movies with the same title, no matter how different, and put them together. And this time around, we are living on the edge. We are feeling the rush, whether it is falling very slowly into heroin addiction or going vroom vroom with F1, because we are doing Lili Zanuck's, yes, that Zanuck, Rush from 1991, and Ron Howard's 2013 Rush, Vroom Vroom, Go the Cars. And here with me to talk undercover cops, living on the edge, feeling like you're dying, it is, of course, Bede. Hello.
Hi, Lindsay. How are you?
This is a very lazy Sunday, and both of us have had a nap, so we're rearing to, so we are definitely feeling the rush, aren't we?
Exactly. We're not feeling a rush on this episode, but, you know, for good reasons. But I am looking forward to talking about this double because one of these movies I have seen before, and I look forward to talking about it for the episode, and one I've never seen before. So I'm looking forward to talking about that one as well, Lindsay.
I had never seen either of these movies, so this was exciting.
I look forward to the conversation.
Yes, this is going to be a fascinating one because the curtains are opening. It's 1991, and she's making a movie about undercover police and heroin in the 1970s. So it took me about 90 minutes in to realize, oh, that is not a style choice for Jennifer Jason Leigh. She is in the 70s. Bede, what is going to be your first trailer for the 1991 Rush?
Well, this was a pretty easy first trailer for me to pick for Rush because it seems like in the early 90s there were actually a lot of undercover cop movies centered around the drug trade. So I'm going with a movie that actually came out the following year that I think is a pretty good, would make actually for a good, interesting double feature with this one on its own. And I'm going with the 1992 film Deep Cover, starring Lawrence Fishburne.
Acclaimed for his role in Boys in the Hood, Larry Fishburne is Officer Russell Stevens.
I knew you'd come.
There's a thin line between catching a criminal and becoming one. Deep Cover. Directed by Bill Duke.
Oh, yes, Bill Duke. I love this movie. I'm a little angry I didn't think about this movie because this movie rules.
Oh, yeah. I actually watched it for the first time last year on the Criterion channel because it was leaving the service. So I thought, I've been meaning to watch this. I'll finally give it a watch. And I was pretty blown away by it. It is a fantastic crime film. Lawrence Fishburne, I would even say this may be up there as his best performance of his career.
Definitely one of them.
Don't get me wrong.
Was he Larry still at this stage? Or had he gone to Lawrence?
I think this was the first. I'm not exactly sure because I think it was either this was the first or the last. Oh, actually, it says here this was the last movie he was credited under Larry Fishburne. So this was his last one. And I believe Lawrence Fishburne was actually his was when he first started crediting himself when he did What's Love Got to Do with It.
Okay. He's getting serious now. No, this kind of feels like a Bill Duke didn't exactly like blaxploitation movies, but did borrow from them. And this is a young black detective who's going undercover. I haven't seen it for a while, so he is going looking at the drug trade. I can't remember how much drugs he takes, but it's about him realizing the system kind of sucks, and he's kind of stuck in between a rock and a hard place from memory.
Oh yeah, definitely. And also to like the main characters in Rush, he is reporting to one person who knows that he is undercover. And yeah, it's just him kind of infiltrating these different drug gangs, getting involved in the lives of some of them, and even befriending one of them, which is also an also equally astonishing Jeff Goldblum, who basically plays the lawyer for the main drug dealer.
Yes. Now it's all coming back to me.
Although I gotta say, Lindsay, I think my favorite thing about this movie is like Bill Duke. That's that Bill Duke from Predator, Commando, and many other movies. He basically directed this movie back to back with Sister Act 2, Back in the Habit.
I keep forgetting he made that.
Like literally right after the. I mean, I think there was another movie in between, but it's like the guy who made Deep Cover, like this really dark, very gritty crime film, and makes a feel good, crowd pleasing comedy sequel with Sister Act 2.
Hey, I watched Sister Act 2 a lot. That had Lauryn Hill being awesome. So... No, yes. that is a great trailer. I do need to watch that again. I remember loving it, but I haven't seen it for a very, very long time, and I need to watch it. For my first trailer, I'm actually going to go for the Dangers of Substance Abuse TV movie from 1975, and that is Sarah T, Portrait of a Teenage Alcoholic, directed by Richard Donner, of all people.
You can have a drink because I made Matt a vice president. She can have a drink to help celebrate Matt becoming vice president, can't she?
Sure, she can have anything she wants, as long as it's ginger ale.
Well, mother knows best, so ginger ale is gonna be. Here we go, a little of that right there, and a little something to help the medicine go down. Bob, come on, where are you going? I want to ask you about that.
You must hate nights like this.
Like what?
It's parties, serving all these people.
Well, it's not so bad.
Come on.
Okay. It's not my favorite way to spend an evening, but like the man says, that's what I'm paid for.
Stars Linda Blair as a teenager who discovers she really likes alcohol, but as this story always goes, especially when you're moralizing addiction, it goes very wrong very, very quickly.
You know, I think I know of this movie because it was like one of many like TV movies that Linda Blair made after The Exorcist, and I think Born Innocent was another one that she also did.
Yes.
I haven't seen it, but I've been meaning to check them out.
I haven't seen it for a while, but it is like it's pretty good for what it is, because it is this. I mean, it's also got Mark Hamill playing the boyfriend, and they're both drinking, and it's kind of wild because this was maybe 2 years before a certain Star Wars movie came out. It's very much a. I think they kind of treat alcohol or substance abuse a little bit differently. But Bede and I definitely grew up in the Just Say No era. And this kind of started in the 70s of if you even take one drink, if you even do this one thing, your life will be screwed because you will be on the street corner selling your body within 5 years kind of thing. Am I right? Did you get those kind of warnings?
Indeed. I mean, that's the thing though. Like, I guess with a lot of the films at that time, since the drug trade was really sort of ramping up in the 70s and all that. Obviously, a lot of filmmakers, whether in film and TV, wanted to kind of dissect that and also the problems that it can cause for the community. And we kind of see that more so in the 80s as well, because obviously Reagan was putting a crackdown on drug trafficking during that time
so
with
well.
the Just Say,
Such a good job.
with a mixture of like the Dare group and the Just Say No campaign. So
yes, and this is kind of a precursor to all that, but I think what is interesting is that that kind of feeling of the Just Say No is very much in this gritty cop drama that is meant to be about undercover cops and how they actually had to fight drugs by doing drugs and then got addicted. It was a whole big thing. It all went wrong, as we will get into. But no, it kind of surprised me how tonally similar this was to things I used to watch as a teenager when they were trying to convince me not to smoke any weed. Which was very strange in New Zealand, but because it was everywhere. But that's beside the point.
Indeed.
Yes, but it's worth it to see a very young pre-Star Wars Mark Hamill. I will say that. What is going to be your second trailer? Sorry.
Well, that's all right. I was going to say, like, for my next trailer, you know me, Lindsay. I like to pick, when it comes to my trailers, I like to pick something that's either kind of very similar to the movie we're about to talk about, and maybe the other trailers kind of has some thematic kind of similarities with it. So I was having a bit of back and forth trying to figure out what my next trailer was going to be, but I decided to go with a film that is also about drugs, and it actually does take place in the 70s, not made in the 70s, but takes place in the 70s, and it also deals with crime and also a couple that are very drug dependent on each other. So I'm going with the 1989 Gus Van Sant film Drugstore Cowboy.
I was once a shameless full-time dope fiend. Me and my crew robbed drugstores. I had done them all. Don't get the idea it was easy. It's hard being a dope fiend. And it's even harder running a crew. I know what you guys are thinking. What's old Bob got me into this time? This here's $8,000 of the best pharmaceutical dope money can buy.
Finally slows down a little bit, and then bang, you knock off another pharmacy. I haven't hit a drugstore in years.
You know how these things go. It's like a crap game. When you're hot, you shoot the works. When you're cold, you lay off. Right now, baby, I'm so hot, I'm burning up all over.
This was on my list. I have actually not seen this forever. I was going to try and watch it before this because I kept thinking of Drugstore Cowboy, which I saw, I think, when I was a teenager, and it had a very big impact on me because I hadn't seen anything so, well, like Drugstore Cowboy. That makes sense.
Indeed. Well, I haven't seen it for quite a while either, a couple of years, in fact, but I do remember really loving it when I did see it. And I did pick up, like, a couple of months ago, the 4K release from Criterion Collection, so it's in the shelf somewhere behind me. But one thing too, I mean, it definitely is a film that kind of deals with what was happening with drugs in the 70s, but it's kind of looking at it at the very early 70s because it's mostly set in 1971. And of course, it follows all these characters, like played by Matt Dillon, Kelly Lynch, James LaGrosse, Heather Graham, it's a great cast that Gus Van Sant has assembled together. And it's kind of like how sort of what happens to them during this period where they are getting into relationships or crime and a few other things. But also too, Lindsay, I had to pick this one because this movie actually does have a link with Rush, because Max Perlich, who was in Rush, is also in Drugstore Cowboy as well. And even
did see that,
what an indie... Yes, and he also won an Independent Spirit Award for Best Supporting Male.
Well, he's also the best thing in Rush. So, and this is a movie with Jennifer Jason Leigh. So no, we'll get into it. No, I need to watch this again. As I said, I haven't seen it since I was a teenager. I remember it having a big impact on me, mainly because I didn't watch movies that intense. Like, I remember it being very, everything's on the edge, everything really matters. Not in the way when you were 16 and you were watching a lot of Kevin Smith and Dazed and Confused and romantic and rom-coms, like when you're 16. So I do need to go back and watch this. And instead I had a nap because I felt the rush and I slept instead of watching Drugstore Cowboy. Final trailer, yep, I've got a link as well. I'm going back with Jason Patric again. playing an undercover cop, but I'm going Narc from 2002, Joe Carnahan.
He was murdered working undercover. Yes, I'm aware of that.
We feel that your presence in this investigation would be invaluable.
They got a dead cop and dead ends, and they're reaching.
Lieutenant Oak, he and Calvis were close. He was the first one in the tunnel that day. He discovered the body.
This is all politics. They didn't know him, they don't care about him, and they can't forget about him fast enough.
I like him, but between you and me,
No!
he's not stable.
That's beautiful.
How long you been with your wife?
I lost her.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I like talking about her. I'll tell you this much, I became a much better cop the day she died. Any hesitation I had about the job was gone.
The only thing you need to know about me is that I'm gonna bag the mothers that killed Mike. If that means breaking every point of procedure, then they're broke.
Yeah, look, Joe Carnahan is just solid. He never makes anything great, but he always makes something that's, actually, no, some of them haven't been great, but he's usually such a solid director, and Narc is kind of one of those things. It's got Jason Patrick, but he is, again, an undercover cop, but he's been tasked with investigating the death of another undercover cop, which Ray Liotta, and a really good performance from him, may or may not be really involved with this. And instead of about the very much right and wrong of what Rush is doing, this is kind of about that sticky in between that an undercover cop may have to do to find out things and to get involved with your CIs and everything like that.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it has been a long time since I've seen Dark, but I was very impressed by it when it came out because, again, it was a film that really kind of reminded me a lot of sort of the cop films of the 70s in terms of that sort of gritty style and aesthetic. And Joe Carnahan, I'm a big fan of Joe Carnahan, but I love the fact that he is like literally like all over the place with his filmography because he could make something as gritty, grimy, or just as profound or existential as something like Narc or The Grey, but then he'll go and make something so batshit and over the top like the A-Team movie or Smoking Aces. And I love it when a filmmaker has like those different types of speeds in them when it comes to making movies. Yeah,
I really like him as a director. And even in The Grey, which is an existential movie of man versus nature and what does it all mean, Liam Neeson still punches a wolf in that movie. Okay, not as much as I was thinking when that movie came out and we sat down to watch it. I was expecting him to be punching wolves all over the place. Still punches one wolf. So Joe Carnahan knew what his audience was at least expecting.
Indeed.
Narc is really, really just good, solid crime filmmaking. And with that, we're heading to a movie that was made in 91, set in the 70s, when this pesky thing called heroin was really starting to make its name in Texas.
Oh, I've known I was going to burn since I was 14.
Detective Jim Raynor was the right man for the job.
What'd you ever want to do this for, anyway?
Seems like a chance to make a difference.
Rookie Detective Kristen Cates was the right woman for the job.
I'll tell you what's going to be different. You.
It was the job that was all wrong.
We buy drugs, and you go in thinking these people are stupid. It'll get you hurt in a New York minute, and me hurt with you.
It began with a lie.
Now, Will Gaines is a dealer in drugs and pornography, and that is a fact. Make the case.
Are you telling us to plant evidence?
I'm telling you that sometimes good work is accomplished in mysterious ways. Let's pray together.
You lied to the dealer.
Oh, yeah. I got you all fixed up.
No, she don't fix.
I think she fixed, but she don't walk out of here.
You lied to your boss.
You're wired.
Not bad. I came here from a coat buy.
Not taking your work home at night.
But it's a fine line, Dodd.
I'm guessing this is the movie you hadn't seen out of the two?
Yes. Well, it's a movie that I've known about forever because it's one of those films that I do remember at the time in the 90s, a lot of people watched this film. I mean, it's probably not as talked about today as it was then, but I do remember it at least being rented out a lot at the video shop. And also, too, I think also it helps that, like, I guess, what will forever be associated with this film. And I think it's always a surprise to audiences like that this was associated with the film Rush is the song from Heaven. Sorry, Tears in Heaven by Eric Clapton, because I mean, we all know the kind of the true story behind that, the tragedy behind how he wrote that song. But the fact that he actually wrote the song for the movie, or at least he wrote it and he was sort of like umming and ahhing whether to include it in the film or not until Lili Zanuck actually convinced him to put it in the actual film. So I think a lot of people tend to forget, like, the song Tears in Heaven it was basically made for this movie.
Yes, I did not know this, and I was absolutely going, wait, they used this song? And then I looked it up and I went, oh, this, because he did a lot of the soundtrack. He did a few more songs for it. Tears in Heaven is the famous one, and unfortunately there is a very tragic story behind it of the passing of his son, who was still very young. Because I think I may have heard of this movie, but I don't think I really knew much about it. So when you sort of said Rush, I was like, what's this? Oh, Jason Patric, Jennifer Jason Leigh. Oh, okay, cool. And then that popped up. And because I was so much more familiar with that song, it felt really out of place when it popped up. I don't know what it was. It's just because I have such a different association growing up, having to sing that song in assembly, and teachers making rude jokes about it, to then seeing it how it was originally introduced to the world. I mean, I remember the music video, but I do not remember images from, because it's just him on stage with the guitar, I think. And no, so I was like, wait, Tears from Heaven? What?
I mean, I know because I've got the imprint edition of Rush because it was a part of the Neo Noir box set. I believe it was actually its volume 1 box set. So
I rented this, but I own this.
Don't you just hate when that happens?
Yeah, and it's not the first time I've done this either. I'm like, I don't know this movie, and then I go, wait, imprint? No, I own this movie.
And I will say imprint went all out for this edition of the film because they got some interviews on there with Lili Zanuck and Jason Patric, and it even includes the music video of Tears in Heaven. In terms of like the movie itself, Tears in Heaven is probably the biggest legacy that this film has associated with that song. It's one of those films, like I said before, it's like it was released at the time. It did pretty well commercially and critically. And like I said, I do remember at least people talking about it because, at the time people seem to forget Jason Patric was a big star, and so was Jennifer Jason Leigh, and she was coming off like a huge amount of critically acclaimed roles and had a massive hit under her hands with single white females. So obviously that would have had a lot of people had their eyes on this film. But again, like a lot of films, it would have had its moment then, but then kind of just forgotten about as time went on.
Yeah, it's not a movie, because it was interesting watching it because it felt like a very specific time capsule as a movie that was kind of probably designed in the Just Say No era of Reagan. So it's kind of like that hangover of drugs are bad. Now, I'm sort of saying when you get up to this level of drug taking, it is bad. It will hurt you. So I'm not sort of saying go out and get addicted to heroin, but it's a very clean black and white version of drug taking. It does take a while to get where it's going. It's very melodramatic. It's kind of got all those cliches you have when someone's addicted to drugs, like Jennifer Jason Leigh is kind of sniffing and shaking her head quite a bit when she's strung out. So I think it's not one of those movies that is going to have a long-lasting impact on people. And plus the fact that Lili Zanuck was more of a producer than she was a director. So it's kind of, I can see why it's kind of disappeared a little bit. The sense of the fact, I forgot that I actually owned this movie because I have the Neo Noir imprint disc, volume 1. I have that set. So I can kind of see why that it's disappeared in time, but I always find it really fascinating when those movies kind of disappear from public consciousness, even though they have the people like, it's got this, this cast has got Sam Elliott, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Jason Patric, Max Perlich, and Greg Ullman of the Ullman Brothers, and
William Sadler.
William Sadler. Thank you. William Sadler, it pops up in this movie. So it is kind of like with those 90s, oh my God, all these faces who I love. But I just don't think it has kind of the tension in it that would make it a movie, a cult kind of object of the 90s that people would carry it through, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, I mean, I really enjoyed the movie a lot, and I could definitely see what you mean, though, because like a lot of movies at this time, whether it be in the 80s and 90s, where obviously they're produced through the Hollywood system, obviously it's going to be have a bit more of a Hollywood sheen to it, especially when it comes to how it sort of views the drug trafficking world. Not in terms of like not depicting it in a like non, I guess, to phrase it in a better way, still depict it as this really gritty thing, but you know, it has that sort of Hollywood polish to it. So it's not like a deep down gritty movie like something like Requiem for a Dream or something like that, where it's like this full blown.
No, I was actually thinking of Requiem a lot while watching this movie, and I was not happy because I don't like that movie. But I think that even because the heroine, I mean, I think Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction hadn't happened yet, which makes drug taking dangerous, but it looks cool. So this doesn't have that element. It's still kind of in that melodramatic, we must treat drugs like this really dangerous, which it is. I'm not saying heroin is like, you know, smoking weed. I'm just sort of saying that the way it's depicting drug addiction has changed over time, and this still is very much of a time when kids were going to dip class, if that makes sense. And you don't have Quentin Tarantino. Requiem for a Dream, as you mentioned before, is definitely that. It's got an energy to it and like a propulsive, like hellish kind of quality where these characters are literally descending into hell through their addiction. Or even something like I am blanking all over the place. Danny Boyle, Transpotting. Yep. When, again, it's got that propulsive, hallucinogenic, things are getting really, really bad. Babies dying and walking on ceilings and people going into disgusting toilets. So it just doesn't, I think there's, as drug culture has sort of become more of a dominant force, I think the way filmmakers have filmed it has kind of evolved, and this is just like a time capsule of, oh, this is how it used to be.
Yeah, exactly. But I do admire the film that at least like it tries to be as gritty as possible, which I wasn't expecting from Lili Zanuck, because I know, like, reading up more about her and also watching her interview on the Blu-ray, like, because of course, like you say, she was a producer, was married to Richard Zanuck, won an Oscar for producing Driving Miss Daisy, and this was like the first film she did after Driving Miss Daisy where she wanted to direct. And it feels like, because, you know, Driving Miss Daisy, I mean, say what you will about that film, personally I enjoy that film. It's a very sort of a light comedy drama that's very sentimental, but in a good way. And then of course you were like, you know what, I want to direct a movie that is a gritty crime drama next as my directorial debut. And I think she actually does a really good job directing wise on this film. And I'm actually surprised this was her first and only film as a director. I mean, she did direct other things afterwards, but mainly like episodes of TV miniseries. So this was her first and only film. Yeah. So maybe you were right. Maybe this was a case like she wanted to direct something, felt like, you know what, I achieved what I wanted to do with this film, and then just wanted to go back to producing.
I think this movie is actually very sentimental as much as it is gritty. I mean, yes, I mean, it does have those kind of gritty moments, especially when Jennifer Jason Leigh is with William Sadler, and because every single time they have to buy drugs, though it's kind of weird. Like, Max Village does make a point. It's like, hey, you guys just come into town with all this money and all you do is buy drugs and you don't have a job. You are cops, right? And I'm like, yes, because that's all you do. Jason Patrick just goes up to someone and goes, hey, can I have some cocaine? Like, it's not, he doesn't even introduce himself. Like, but I think there is a sentimentality about getting addicted to it that I can kind of see, because I'm not the biggest fan of Driving Miss Daisy. I think that movie is very saccharine and isn't making the point that I think it's making. But I think, and the TV movie makes sense to me because this does have that quality to it, even though Bruce Beresford actually directed Driving Miss Daisy, but she had a hand in it. But I think what I liked about this movie were the performances. I love Jennifer Jason Leigh in this. I love Max Perich, especially. I think he was I think he is the heart and soul of that movie. Of this as a low level part time drug dealer who's kind of now stuck, but he really likes his new cop friends and he doesn't want anything bad to happen to them. I think that's a really interesting character to work with.
I would agree with that. I think both Jennifer Jason Leigh and Jason Patric do a really good job in their performances, and you could tell that they went out of their way to make their performances as believable as possible as undercover cops who obviously have to take these drugs themselves so they can be as authentic as possible to the people around them. But of course, they get consumed by it. So I think their performances are really believable. And knowing like the work of Jennifer Jason Leigh, I know she would have easily got into this with as much research as possible. So it would be accurate.
No, it's no. All I could think of was the story because she auditioned for Pretty Woman. And the famous line is when Rob Marshall, I think it was Rob Marshall, one of the Marshalls was the audition. She was like, don't be so sad when you're doing it. Like, and she kind of turns and goes, yeah, but she's a sex worker. Like, she's on the streets. She's not having a good time. And she's like, she just got there. Be happy, but she hasn't been there that long. So I kind of felt this was the audition that she did for Pretty Woman and did it in this movie. But no, I think she is very, very good. But I think because I've got all those 90s drug movies in my mind that have a lot of flair to them because the 90s is known for flair. Like it's known for twisty camera angles, like you mentioned with Undercover, the Bill Duke movie. That's very much in this vein of very specific camera angles, lots of specific lighting, specific colors. And then you have this, which is very sort of staid, not TV exactly, because it's actually quite a big scope and it does actually look quite nice. But and I can tell what Patrick's doing when he's like introducing her to drugs and how you take them. Like he's being very gentle and very, very seductive about it. But it just comes off creepy to me. I'm just like, yeah, I don't know how I feel about this movie, to be honest.
Well, I can definitely understand that for sure. But I guess I sort of got a little bit more out of it because I found just sort of these two cops kind of going into this situation and basically then getting into drugs themselves and them having to basically depend on each other.
Yes.
And also the people around it. I do agree that Max Perlich definitely is the heart of the movie because they do bring a lot of shades to that character, not just to make him like a straight up just bad drug deal. Like he does have a good heart to him. And so like he likes the two main characters, but at the same time, like he's willing to help them out to bring some of the bigger drug dealers down. But of course, at the same time, he's conflicted because some of these people are also his friends and he's like going back and forth between it. So there's definitely a lot of shades to that character. And like he could have easily have come off. I mean, there is also a naivety to the character as well, but
yes.
I feel like he finds a good balance between them, make this character feel like a real flesh and blood character compared to somebody like Greg Olman, who plays the more bigger drug dealer, who's basically is played off. Yeah, like he barely has any lines in the movie. He's more like a presence who's always wandering around the entire film in the background because he's the main one that they're going after.
It's actually a really good way to use him because he was a musician. Like he is one of the Ullman brothers, which I thought was hilarious. I was like, wait, did they just get an Ullman brother? Yeah, they got an Ullman brother. This is hilarious. So I think I really liked how they used him as this kind of background presence. Like you see him at the beginning and you see him at the end and he's just kind of there hovering. And it's just all these other kind of the network of drug dealers under him. I really loved that. Like I love the arrest scene.
Yeah, even though, yes, he doesn't really have that many lines in the movie, but I think you're right as well, because it kind of feels like a mixture of like a little bit of stunt casting because you're getting an Ullman brother who at like years earlier was known to be quite the big druggie himself to play a drug dealer in this film. But he actually does have a kind of a very sinister presence about him that really kind of projects off the screen, which I did find rather effective. Like I say, like even when he barely has any lines in the movie and he's always just mainly in the background, like you kind of feel like he's like watching our two main characters and kind of sussing them out at the same time, which I found kind of a little creepy because he does a really good job with that.
He really, really does. I mean, you're right. It is absolute stunt casting, but I'd say it's stunt casting that works because anyone who's watching it, I think at the time knew what Greg Ullman's reputation was. And I like how he's just kind of skulking around because all they want is because Patrick's always asking for him. Like, where's Gaines? Is Gaines here? Can I talk to Gaines? And like, no, you're not talking to Gaines. So it's kind of like he is sussing them out to see what it is. And when they finally get there to him and buy drugs off him, he's arrested. So I love how everyone was just willing to sell people drugs. Like, I'm like, no, what happened to the guy that you get on the corner to sell the drugs so you don't get arrested? I've seen The Wire. I know how this works. No, it's yes, me and my suburban thing knows exactly how the heroin trade. Actually, no, reclockers, you will actually know how to trade heroin, but only in 1989 and only in New Jersey. It's that specific, but you will know how to do it after reading clockers. Yeah, it's just kind of it does a lot of shorthand, which I know because they're having to explain something to the general public that I don't think a lot of the public completely understood in 91. All they knew is heroin bad. People who do take it are bad, don't take it. So I like how they had the Max character to go, well, yeah, he's probably got some issues. He's doing this because he is also addicted. But I think he is the heart and soul. And I liked kind of all the round sort of presences. I think it's just the pacing for me. Like, and I don't know.
It is a tad long. Yeah, it is a tad long.
Yeah. And I think because she's wanting to make a drama out of something that should be a much more neo-noir, kind of hard-boiled, a little bit more. I think, and it's a little bit maybe, but too soft in places where it really should go really hard to the nose to the wall. I think that's my issue with it. And plus, it does take a long time to get where it's going. I mean, it's a lot of them just kind of swaying, yes, I'm taking heroin, this is great. I'm like, okay, a lot of the time. But that's just my reaction to it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, I would say that would also be kind of, if I had any big issues with the film, the pacing, I would say, does tend to drag in spots and be a little repetitive at times as well. So they could have easily have trimmed it down by 10, 15 minutes if I had to guess. But I could definitely see what Zanuck was definitely going for. But I do appreciate, though, like, when it comes to certain scenes in this movie, like we talked about earlier, Eric Clapton did the score for this film. And the score does play a lot through the film. But there are a lot of times, especially in the film's more tense moments, where she doesn't use the score at all.
No, it's silence.
Yeah, it's just silence. And it actually builds more tension in the scene. Because, again, when it comes to drug deals, you just never know what's going to happen. Like, is something going to go south very quickly, or is it going to turn out well? Like, again, even when basically with Walker, like, of course, when he has that conversation with Jennifer Jason's lead character of Kirsten about, like, oh, some people are suspecting you guys might be cops. Like, you could see the terror in her face. And again, her having to keep it under. And of course, it's like, oh, is Walker going to rat him out or something like that? And of course, you find out he has these suspicions. And then, of course, Jason Patrick's character of Jim pretty much confers it to him. And then he gets roped into working with them to bring Gaines and the other drug dealers down. So there's a lot of really interesting bit of tension throughout the film. And also when it gets violent, again, it's the type of violence I like in films where you don't suspect it and it does hit hard, especially in that.
Short, sharp, and to the point. Because for a lot of it, there is no violence. There's the threat of violence. Like with the first one, he's got the gun. He's basically pointing at Jennifer Jason Leigh, take the heroin. She does. I like William Sadler. He seems really dangerous. And he goes, let's get fucked up. She's like, no. And he's like, oh my God, of course. Is she going to get sexually assaulted in this moment? Because you don't know what's going to happen. I actually love the scene where she's driving down the road and she can't focus on the road. It's like, that was really, really good. It's kind of got a lot of that into it. And I do like all of that. Like, I love the performances. I think just sometimes she stretched things out to the point where, like, yeah, I love Jennifer Jason's Lee's expression when Max says, "Oh, are you?" He doesn't say, "I think you're a cop," because people are saying you're cops, not that you are.
Yeah.
But that's what people are saying, and he keeps repeating it. And she's just like, "Oh, fuck." Or the scene when I think she realizes that she can't do it anymore. Like, and Jason Patrick's fully gone by this stage. She's just full on. I'm now a junkie. Now this is my life. Like, I'm just strung out all the time. And she looks in the mirror, and even though he told her don't wash her hair, she kind of is disgusted with herself, and she's trying to wash off her like bruise, like her needle bruise. And I can see how this would be really confronting for a lot of people in 1990. I mean,
oh yeah.
I just think we've had so much more different ways of looking at it and kind of different ways of filming it that you kind of look at this and go, oh, that's cute. But I think, and so that's why I keep saying it's a time capsule. But I think those moments with her are really, really good, especially when she's on the floor and she's looking for a bit of heroin in between the carpet because she can't find anything. In that pink kind of pajamas to show that she was once an innocent and now she's just like completely. It does kind of show what these guys were kind of up against, even though. Why do you think they included the scene of Sam Elliot's their captain? He's the one that kind of is kind of their handler. Was it at a PTA meeting or a police meeting when he's like, I found this needle at a middle school. I found this needle in a high school. I found this gun at a primary school. Why do you think they included that scene? Was it to show the danger of it, or moralizing, or do you think they just wanted to show how bad the drug epidemic was, the heroin epidemic was starting to get in the 1970s?
You know, I feel like it is the latter in terms of like, because even growing up, like whenever you go to the beach or a park and all that, you'd always hear from adults or your parents and all that. Oh, be careful. Yeah, just be careful where you step. You might find a used needle and stuff like that. So I think it's one of those things where it kind of showcases that because it was a big problem at the time. But of course, you know, playing up the fears that what parents and adults were feeling in that moment. But one thing I will say, Lindsay, and you brought this up earlier, like you, it took me about almost an hour to realize, oh, this movie's actually set in the 70s.
Jennifer Jason Leigh's fashion goes, this character has a very distinct fashion sense. Oh, no, wait, this is the 70s. Okay.
It literally took me, I don't know what it is that clued me in to realize, like, oh, this is actually taking place in the 70s. But I was just watching it because, you know, this is made in 91. I just assumed it was set in the early 90s.
Look, I love the 70s, came back in the 90s. I had a pair of flares. Like, I'm just saying, I had a crochet top. Like, wasn't that dissimilar? Like, I'm seeing young girls walking around, you know, the whole back in the early 2000s where you'd wear the singlet with a t-shirt underneath.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's back. And I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. Which I think is a 70s thing. So it's a period movie, but it's not really a period movie because in the 90s, early 90s, people still didn't have cell phones. It was still a lot of the same technology. I think something on the TV, I went, that looks like something from the 70s. And then, I think that's when I clued in.
Yeah, well, I guess it had to sort of be set at that period because, again, looking more into it, it is based on a book. And I believe it's actually a lot of the events that happened in the book actually happened to the author in real life.
One of those ones.
Because because she used to be a police officer, then she left and then became an author and wrote this book. Kim Wollstonecraft, who's the author of the original book. And she did say that like the book was based on her experiences working as an undercover narcotics agent in Texas during that time. So there's definitely a lot of things like that were based on what happened to her she included in the book. And she is interviewed about it on the imprint Blu-ray as well. So that was the thing. Like, I'm sort of sitting there. It's like, oh, little details. These seem very believable. It's like, oh, it's actually based on something that actually happened to the person who wrote the book.
Well, yeah, I can't imagine the terror and how you would have to watch yourself being a female undercover agent and drug undercover agent. I think that would be just absolutely horrific and horrible. But yeah, it was just. I think it's such a fascinating movie because I think it's in this period between the indie boom had just started, but Quentin Tarantino hasn't quite hit yet. And I think when it comes to this specific kind of film, it would be, if it was made even in 93, 94, I think it would be a completely different movie in terms of style, lighting, acting, everything like that. You could have still had the exact same guys in there, but I think it just would have been really different.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you're absolutely right too. I feel like if this film exactly it is as it is was made today, it would have been done more as an independent film, would have been a lot more grittier, grimier.
Much more Drugstore Cowboy, actually, I think.
Yeah, and also too, like, even though I love Deep Cover and it was an excellent movie, that movie, even looking back on it, that was a film that definitely had a lot of style and mood.
Yeah, it does.
For it. Because that one you could tell, like, was obviously Bill Duke was going for that sort of neo-noir type of feel for that one. So, and now, a lot of the drug movies at this period were very stylish or very polished looking movies. So obviously it was the style at the time, as the Simpsons would say. And obviously since then...
Don't know, I was thinking of that scene.
Yes. Yes. And so...
Sorry, I'm derailed.
Well, to be fair, I have to at least bring up one Simpsons reference per
the rule.
episode. Yes. But yeah, I feel like, like it was just that thing that Hollywood films were just doing at the time. Not to sort of say it would glamorize drugs, because obviously...
Oh, this does not glamorize. And I don't think Deep Cover glamorizes it. Quentin, maybe.
Oh, well, I mean, a little bit, but or at least cocaine.
Another drug. No, but not snorting heroin. Snorting heroin is very bad. But it's no, I'd say Quentin made it look cool.
Yes, but
he probably was snorting a lot of it.
But then, of course, once the 2000s came around, that's when it sort of took a more grittier look. Like Narc, we talked about Requiem for a Dream. I would even say the Soderbergh film Traffic is also another one
was
as
a
well.
possible trailer. Yep.
I would say, around this period, like a lot of films kind of dealt with that subject matter, but obviously, kind of taking a more Hollywood look to it. But then as the decades would go on, when we sort of know a little bit more about the drug trade, but also filmmakers, they kind of went for a more sort of grittier aesthetic to it. Yes. I mean, even the show like The Wire, for example, kind of went and did that as well.
Probably the best. I mean, if you're talking about cops trying to fight drug dealers, I don't think there is anything better than The Wire. And I'm a movie nerd, but The Wire, there's something about those first two seasons where you really get the characterization, you really get the aspect of poverty and how that impacts, you really get the systems in place with those characters, these kind of dynamics really well done, and why drugs kind of just infest and really hurt people. In this one, it feels they're trying to get the drug dealers who are pushing it on kids, but it feels more like a choice, even with someone with Max, who I think if this was filmed even a few years later, you would see him be in a situation of he grew up in this, or he knew he grew up in poverty in Texas. He knew a lot of people who were drug dealers. This kind of just became second nature to him as a side gig, because he's also like a welder or a builder, because they're like constructing a housing things like at the center of it. It's where the arrest happens. But I think that is just interesting. But I will say that last 30 minutes, I would say, is the reason why you watch this movie. Bob Ullman doing the shotgun thing to the nose to Jennifer Jason Leigh. I was just like, oh, this is why you watch this movie. It's right there, that moment.
I mean, yeah, that scene was very intense. And also, it kind of, I guess the film kind of tries to end on an ambiguous note as well.
Who do you think shoots him? Just a random druggie? Or do you think Jennifer Jason Leigh is hiding in that back seat?
Well, that's the thing, though. Like, I sort of realized, because basically, like, when that scene happens towards the end, when Kirsten wakes up and she has the double barrel shotgun in her face.
Yes.
The shotgun kind of does a specific thing to her face.
Yeah,
like,
which is why when he does it at the courtroom, you're like, oh, that's what happened. Yeah.
Yeah. So essentially, I think it's pretty clear, like, that was pretty much, like, obviously she gave the truth about what actually happened, that they had to plant the evidence on Gaines to arrest him. But obviously at the same time, like, seeing him do that, knowing that he was the one who killed Jim, she's like, you know what, I'm going to have to take this guy out, like, myself. And it kind of ends on that note, which I will admit is a little jarring to end it on that type of note.
It is. Like, and not to see the person who's shooting him. Like, I love the whole thing of we're going to have to plant evidence on Gaines because we can't get him. It goes into this kind of corruption thing. I mean, undercover cop movies have been dealing with this aspect of what is corrupt, what is not, how corrupt do you need to be, what is the level of corruption that is okay. I mean, Narc deals with this. Training Day is all about this. Even the new movie Crime 101 delves into this, directed by Bart Layton, starring Chris Hemsworth. I just saw it, and it is all about what levels of corruption can you get away with. I mean, The Departed, the one of the greatest movies about undercover cops ever made. I mean, well, it's Martin Scorsese, but it's about what is okay in a court of law. She's kind of, it's not like you feel sorry for Gaines. You kind of want Gaines to go to prison, but you know they did the wrong thing because they were, as the parlance says, they were in too deep. So they got themselves too much trouble, too much conflicted. So they had to do this thing to get out of it, but it didn't work. And Jim dies. It's all Jim's fault. Like, I couldn't help thinking, I'm like, well, you did that. So I don't quite know what to tell you, buddy.
And also, too, like, if this was any other movie, when he got that shotgun blast to the leg, he would have just survived. But I like the fact, like, oh, that's what kills him, because people tend to forget all the nerve endings and arteries are in that leg.
In the femoral artery. Yeah. It was specifically in the inner thigh. And if you get done in the inner thigh, you bleed out very, very quickly. Just think of a very recent movie called The Bone Temple, which starts off with someone getting stabbed in the thigh.
Exactly. See, Rush and 28 years later, The Bone Temple. If you're looking for someone getting hit, was shot or stabbed in the femoral artery.
Exactly. Just want to point out that people should be watching Bone Temple because that movie rules. Always doesn't matter what the subject. But I think it's the last 30 minutes where this movie comes alive, but you're waiting an hour for that to happen.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I enjoyed the film overall. I did really like it. I would definitely watch it again for sure. I mean, it is part of my imprint box set, so
well, I can go along and watch
with well, it's funny though, like also in that same on the Blu-ray for the movie, both because like I said, Jason Patric and Lili Zanuck are both interviewed on it, and pretty much Lili Zanuck, like when it came to casting the lead role, everyone was like, "Oh, you need to go see this movie After Dark, My Sweet," because it's with Jason Patric.
Oh,
and
yes.
After Dark, My Sweet is also one of the other movies included in that box set as well. So,
well, now that I remember I have it, I can now watch it. I can go watch all the extras because I do, in fact, have it in my house, even though I may have paid $4 to rent this thing.
You know what's funny though, Lindsay? You're the second person who I've podcasted with in the past 2 weeks who realized, like, oh, I had to watch this movie on a streaming service, and then they completely forgot, oh, I actually owned this movie. I forgot it was in my collection.
And then sitting right beside the television.
I mean, how could you have not, I mean, not to judge you or anything, Linz, but how could anyone not notice the movie was included in the box set? Because both Jennifer Jason Leigh and Jason Patric are on the box set.
Fuck, they are too.
It's a bit hard not to notice.
No, it is. You're right. I fumbled the ball on that one. Bede, what is going to be your first trailer for Ron Howard's Rush?
Well, I mean, Lindsay, it is a movie that deals with Formula One, and it only makes sense. I pick a movie that also deals with the subject of Formula One racing, and it is definitely a movie that has probably in the last couple of years become the ultimate dad movie.
I know which
I
one
think you know which one I'm talking.
Yeah, I know exactly which one you're talking about. Yeah, I love this movie.
Yeah, so I am, of course, going with the 2019 James Mangold film, Ford versus Ferrari.
Suppose Henry Ford II wanted to build the greatest race car the world's ever seen, to win the 24 Hours of Le Mans. What's it take?
Well, it takes something money can't buy.
Money can buy speed.
What in about speed? You need a pure racer behind the wheel of your car. That's Ken Miles.
I don't trust him an inch.
We heard he's difficult. No, Ken's a puppy dog.
No. Whatever it is, Shell, no.
Trust me.
You're gonna build a car to beat Ferrari with a Ford.
Correct.
And how long did you tell them that you needed? 200, 300 years?
90 days.
This movie rules, and I was surprised how much I like it because I don't always like car movies. But this isn't Formula One, so maybe this is why I like it so much. It's something else. But anyway, I remember sitting in the theater watching it, and I was like, hang on a minute. Is this movie literally about Ford being the underdog to Ferrari? Oh, is this what this movie is saying? No, it's actually about how hard it is to make a studio movie in the studio system, even when you have all the money. And that's why Ford versus Ferrari rules.
Yeah, well, I really enjoyed Ford versus Ferrari because, again, yeah, even though it's not technically set in the Formula One racing world, but it does deal with car racing, so it's enough. But it also, again, it deals with a rivalry between Ford and Ferrari.
A very one-sided rivalry. I don't necessarily think that Enzo Ferrari cared particularly about Ford until he was beat.
Well, I mean, basically, this kind of rivalry is basically just watching somebody like Elon Musk versus Gina Reinhardt. That's just basically what this whole rivalry is in terms of being one-sided. But luckily, though, it's kind of more focused on the people on the ground who are trying to make this race happen and to build these cars. And of course, you got Matt Damon and Christian Bale's characters, who are kind of the ones who are come together to create the ultimate car that is going to beat Ferrari.
It is. And they're really good performances. Though I will say Tracy Letts, who was playing John Ford III, I want to say. It was John Ford's grandson. His performance is fantastic. Him being driven by Matt Damon in the car for the first time and then just him sobbing. I was so angry when he didn't get a nomination for that performance for Best Supporting Actor. I know 2019, kind of a stacked year, but that performance was astounding. Kind of made me, that and Little Woman made me fall in love with Tracy Letts in a deep, deep, powerful way, which I'm still not quite over. But yeah, this movie is just, it's more of a character piece than it is a car piece, I will say. And it is about a man doing dangerous things because the character that Christian Bale, spoilers, in real life, he did pass away while driving. It wasn't a race, it was a training, testing a car. It always is reminding you how dangerous this thing is. Yeah, it's just really solid filmmaking. I mean, I don't think Mangold that might be one of his best movies, and I don't think he's beaten it. He definitely hasn't beaten it with Dial of Destiny and Bob Dylan yet.
I mean, I really enjoyed Ford versus Ferrari, but if you ask me what my favorite Mangold films are, I would definitely say Copland, Identity, Walk the Line, and Logan, which I think is his masterpiece. But Ford versus Ferrari, I would definitely say is his most crowd-pleasing.
I can actually make a case that Ford versus Ferrari is his masterpiece. Copland, I think, is definitely up there as well. I have not seen Logan since it came out. I don't know. That movie makes me too sad.
It's definitely... This movie, I would say Ford versus Ferrari is definitely his more uplifting movie compared to the ones I mentioned. Yes. I mean, yes. Yes. I mean, Christian Bale's character, like you say, did die in real life, and they, kind of show that towards the end there. But even then, though, it's more of a sort of an underdog kind of underdog involving the Ford company.
Which I refuse to believe that. That's why I keep saying it's about how to make a good movie in the studio system, because I refuse to believe that Ford is the underdog.
See, only James Mangold can make that work.
It shouldn't work. At the beginning when they're basically saying we're the underdog, I'm like, you're fucking Ford. No, you're not. Enzo Ferrari was verge of bankruptcy for most of his career. You are not the underdog. No, that is a brilliant trailer. I love that movie. My first trailer, I'm going for another Ron Howard, but I think everything he does right in Rush, he first did it in a little movie called Apollo 13 from 1995.
There's nothing routine about flying to the moon. I can vouch for that.
Launch control, this is Houston. We are go for launch.
The clock is running!
Houston, we have cleared the tower at 1313.
Okay, guys. We're going to the moon.
This is the crew of the Apollo 13, wishing everyone back on Earth a pleasant evening.
Houston, we have a problem. We got a wicked shimmy up here.
Houston, we are venting something out into space. It's definitely a gas of some sort.
It's like the heart rates are skyrocketing.
The Apollo 13 spacecraft is apparently losing breathing oxygen. The emergency has ruled out any chance of a lunar landing.
Honestly, before you mentioned Apollo 13, I thought you were going to pick his first movie, Grand Theft Auto.
If I could find it, I would watch it, and it would be a trailer. No, I have not. God, I need to see that movie. It's really hard to find, actually, because a couple of early Ron Howards, when he made movies for Corman, that are really hard to find. But in terms of this kind of mechanic accuracy that he's able to portray on screen, which I probably not accurate at all. If you probably ask anyone who knows about F1 or spaceships, they'll probably say all this is bogus. But the way he's kind of able to kind of put this kind of feeling of this is real. These guys are actually racing. These cars are actually real. Tom Hanks is in space saying, Houston, we have a problem. Probably some of the best parts of Ron Howard works as a director.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, though. I think for me, Ron Howard, I really like Ron Howard as a filmmaker. He is definitely, without a doubt, the best journeyman filmmaker we have. Like, even though he is a well-known name, I would say he is a journeyman filmmaker because he can easily adapt to any genre, no matter what film he does.
There's some questionable ones.
Yeah, I mean, he's made some questionable movies. But he's definitely a filmmaker who, like, can take on any genre. And for most of the time, he can nail it. And Apollo 13, like, that was definitely, he had his kind of string of comedies and, possible Oscar contenders that didn't quite work out the way they did, aka Far and Away. But I think Apollo 13...
Let's be honest, he has a few of those.
I mean, he does. And I think even he admits that too. But Apollo 13, I feel like that was kind of the film that I would say all the right pieces worked together. And hence why it was like, up to that point, his most critically acclaimed film, but also one of his first films to be a big major Oscar contender at the time. So yeah, I mean, that's definitely a good pick as a trailer for this film.
Plus, it's a great trailer, and you just get to see Kevin Bacon, Tom Hanks, and Bill Paxton on screen and just smile. It's one of those casts you just go, oh my God. But I think it is just a very solid movie, and I think that's when Ron Howard is at his best. He makes very solid movies, and I would count, as we get into Rush, I would count that as that. What is going to be your second trailer for 2013 Rush?
Since you picked a Ron Howard movie, Lindsay, I'm also picking a Ron Howard film. Unfortunately, it's not Grand Theft Auto, as much as I would love to pick it. But what I think is interesting about Rush is this is actually his second collaboration with writer Peter Morgan, because obviously, if you know Peter Morgan, he wrote The Queen. He also created the TV show The Crown. So if you look at a lot of his writing work, it is a lot of biography. So a lot of films about true life figures. So their first collaboration together, Ron Howard and Peter Morgan, actually does feel like it would be a good double feature with this one because it has two figures squaring off against each other. So I'm going with his 2008 film, Frost Nixon.
Why would I want to talk to David Frost?
I got $500,000.
Really?
Frost? has hired 3 crack investigators.
Can I be crack one? Can I be deep crack? Can I shake his hand? After everything he's done in this country? Are you kidding me?
Oh, pleasure to meet you.
Mr. President. That was devastating. I mean, I don't think he's ever going to get over that. Frost is just not in your class, sir. You're going to be able to rebuild your reputation. This entire project is a joke.
I do hope that isn't coming out of your own pocket.
I wish my pockets were that deep.
I'm in this for everything I've got.
There's a reason they call him Tricky Dick.
Stand by to roll tape.
You had a pleasant evening last night?
Yes, 4, 3, 2.
Did you do any fornicating?
And
Hugh David.
Wow, I have not seen that since it came out. I don't know how I feel about this movie. Though David Frost was the guy that got Nixon to admit that he may have committed some crimes, even though famously Nixon said, "I'm not a crook." So I was really excited for this movie when it came out. I made people go and see this. I'm a weirdo. No, Frank Langella plays Nixon and Martin. Who plays
Michael Sheen? Yes,
Michael Sheen.
Michael Sheen.
Martin Sheen. That's not correct. Michael Sheen plays Frost.
Yes. But I feel like what's great about this movie, because obviously it's actually based on a play that Peter Morgan wrote.
Yes.
So obviously it does feel very theatrical, but when you got Ron Howard directing it, he knows how to make it a bit more cinematic.
He does,
but also too, I think Peter Morgan, I think he wrote a bit more to the script, so some other areas of the story could be covered rather than just the interview between the two men. But the scenes with between Nixon and Frost, you can see why Howard had to bring both Frank Langella and Michael Sheen, who played the roles originally on the stage,
you have to
this film, because their scenes together. I mean, everything else around them is great because you've got an all-star cast that basically surrounds them, like Kevin Bacon, Rebecca Hall, Toby Jones, Oliver Platt, Sam Rockwell, who are all really solid in the film. But it really is, I mean, one of the reasons why I love this movie is the scenes between Langella and Sheen, especially those interview scenes, because the back and forth between the two of them is so electrifying to watch. And it's almost as electrifying as a lot of the car racing scenes in Rush, but with dialogue.
Kind of is. I mean, I don't like who's the writer again?
Peter Morgan.
Peter Morgan. I think he can be a bit on the nose sometimes, as we'll get into Rush, which will just basically they'll have Hemsworth and Brawl just tell each other kind of text about the movie. I'm like, okay, I get it. Like, one of you wants to be safe, the other wants to drive close to the thing. Yeah, the scene, the whole thing is David Frost, who was the interviewer guy that Michael Sheen's playing. Is it David Frost? Anyway,
Yes, David Frost, yes.
David Frost was considered a very tough interviewer, late night talk show host in Britain. So when he got Nixon's interview, which was one of the first big interviews after he left the White House, it was, well, he's going to Michael Frost because he knows he's not going to get any tough questions. And the whole point is that he actually started going, so there's bombing in Cambodia. And when you actually watch the actual interview, when Nixon says, "I am the president, everything I do is legal," he's actually talking about Cambodia, not Watergate. That was the change in the context around a little bit. But no, those scenes are really, really great. It's like two really good actors just like, hey, we've got a really good pattern with each other. And they were the original ones who put it on, who were at the West End. So that is I forgot about that movie. That's a really good trailer.
It's a good trailer, but also at the time, because like Rush, it's also set in the 70s.
Yes.
And also too, like you think, okay, it's focusing on Richard Nixon, but when Howard made the film, this was like post the Bush years. So obviously this is his 9/11 George W. Bush kind of film, or at least using that as subtext for this one to talk about a president who did some very terrible things like Bush did in terms of what happened in Iraq and lying to the American people about. And of course, you can also include the whole you know, missing votes in Florida in 2000 as well. Yes, so.
Back then, I just remember Chads. So like, oh my God. But no, you can use that as an allegory to look at what was using a past thing to use a present. And though whether I'd say Rush is a much more straightforward biopic about F1 in the 1970s, and essentially how it became a safer sport. That is a really, really good trailer, actually. I'm going to go for my F1 movie, but that is Michael Mann's Ferrari from 2023.
Two objects cannot occupy the same point in space at the same moment in time. The corner races at you. You have perhaps a crisis of identity. Am I a sportsman? Or a competitor? If you get into one of my cars, you get in the win. Slow.
And so, you're going broke.
How?
You spend more than you made.
So what do I do?
Win the Mille Miglia, Enzo.
A movie that is weirder than you think it's going to be. And it's not just because Adam Driver and Shailene Woodley are doing really weird Italian accents. I don't know how to describe Ferrari. It's a biopic. It's about Enzo Ferrari during a period of time when he's basically trying to keep control over his company because he believed in making handmade. He wasn't an industrialist like John Ford. He believed in hand making his cars, and he was way more into racing. So if he sold a car for the street, it was to pay for his racing cars. He was obsessed with Formula One. And it is a weird movie. I mean, all Michael Mann's movies are about people who are very good at their job because they are obsessed with doing this one very specific thing. And with Enzo, it was to build racing cars. And the crash it's leading up to, though I don't think the crash has anything to do with the story, but it kind of leads up to this terrifying crash where a F1 car just rolls into people. And the way it's done with this kind of weird CGI, people are just like being cut in half. It's a really fascinating movie.
You know what's funny though, Lindsay? When I went and saw that film, I wasn't aware of the actual car accident that actually happened in real life. So when it happened in the movie, I was legit taken aback. Like I was like, what the fuck just happened? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very Mann movie. Only Mann could have made this movie this way, like a lot of Michael Mann movies. But it's very episodic, and I don't think all the pieces fit together as well as some of his other movies because he's looking at a man who has an obsession. In real life, the crash happened, so they just said spectators can't stand on the edge of because this is in the 50s. So spectators can't stand by the road and watch the cars go by anymore, which, yeah, it's...
Well, that's the thing. I know this movie was like a passion project for Michael Mann because he'd been wanting to make it for years.
Decades, yeah.
Yeah, before like even Adam Driver was cast, like Christian Bale, funnily enough, was cast in the role.
He was like, he had rotated through about 2 or 3 leading men who were playing Ferrari.
I mean, yeah, well, that was the thing, though. There wasn't even a point, from what I remember, there was a point where he didn't even think about making it at all. And thought about getting another director to come in. And I think that's how basically Ford versus Ferrari came out of it.
Michael Mann, famously a control freak. So it's, yeah.
But that's the thing, if you notice on Ford versus Ferrari, Michael Mann is an executive producer on that film. So
Michael Mann I think he was going to make Ford versus Ferrari. Didn't happen, but then he got to make his passion project, which is just Enzo.
Yeah, exactly. So so it was good that we picked the trailers for both these movies because they basically end up correlating with each other, but also Enzo Ferrari also makes an appearance in Rush too. So
how do you make an F1 movie set between the 50s and the 70s and not include an old Italian man in sunglasses? Just curious. I mean, is it even possible not to have that figure somewhere standing around if you're making an F1 movie?
Exactly. So I don't think it was even possible because I mean it was a given that Enzo Ferrari had to make some kind of appearance, even for a split second in this
Nicky
movie.
Lauda did drive for Ferrari, so
Who's that?
It's Nicky Lauda. He's just been signed by Ferrari.
He's nobody.
Look at the way he's driving like an old man.
Right now, with zero incentive, why would I drive fast?
Because I'm asking you to.
This is an incredible battle between these two great drivers.
Next time I'll have you.
No chance. You're just a party guy. That's why everybody likes you.
Yes, I know, I'm terrible.
No, you're not terrible. You're just who you are at this point in your life.
To be a champion, it takes more than just being quick.
You have to really believe it. I've been waiting for this my whole life.
I can beat this guy, trust me.
He's consistent, dependable.
Will he put his life on the line the day that really matters? Welcome to the racing drugs match of the decade.
World champion Nicky Lauda, trapped in a searing inferno of 800 plus degrees.
Talk to me, James.
Don't go to men who are willing to kill themselves driving in circles looking for normality.
okay. So did you see Rush back in 2013?
I did. Well, I know my co-host over on the Super podcast, Super Marcy, she loves this movie. This was her top movie of that year.
Oh, wow.
So I was very excited to see it, but but I was very excited to see the movie. I mean, I don't love the movie as much as Marcy does, but I do think it's a really solid little racing biopic. But I think, sort of thinking about this, well, I've been thinking about this for a while now. Like, what is it? Because I'm not a person who's into sports. I don't watch car racing. I don't really watch that much football or anything like that. Like, football or something like that, like NRL, rugby, I could sit and watch it if I have to. But any other sports, it has no interest for me. But I'm always interested by sports movies. But I think the reason why that is because a lot of these movies actually get you into the people behind these sports.
Yes.
And you're more intrigued by their stories. So I could sit there and watch a film about ice hockey, not give a crap about ice hockey, but if like the characters are interesting, I'm like invested.
Well, if the
So with
characters are
something
hot
like
and fucking a lot like they are in Heated Rivalry,
I mean-
I'm all in on hockey.
I mean, I was going to say, what's interesting about Rush is obviously you get a lot with Nicky Lauda and James Hunt, both played greatly, I should say, by Hemsworth and Chris Hemsworth and Daniel Bruin. But also, too, I think what's interesting about this film is that it has a bit more of an edge to it in terms of, like, it really does show off, like, oh, these are two guys who were, I mean, mostly James Hunt. He was into being a womanizer, having sex with women left and right, getting into
The
drugs.
lifestyle. He was a wealthy man. Like, he didn't come. Both Nicky Lauda and James Hunt came from wealthy families. So, but James Hunt loved being wealthy. Like, he loved spending his money, whereas Nicky was much more about, I'm going to spend what I need to spend, but I'm going to save the rest because I'm a sensible person to a fault. Kind of, that's how it is in the movie, at least anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of interesting watching this film of these two men who come from very similar backgrounds. But obviously, Nicky Lauda was somebody who was very meticulous about racing and how to win and wanted to prove something. And then, of course, James Hunt, he too wanted to prove something as well, but he was all about the celebrity of it.
Yes.
And in having a great time and living for the moment. So obviously, like, these two men, obviously through the course of this movie would not get on at all because they see each other as rivals. But at the same time, though, you could definitely see that there is a respect between the two of them because they are great drivers in their own way. And even the movie at the end, when it kind of ends with Nicky Lauda's narration and then having like the real life clips of Hunt and Lauda like back and forth. Like, obviously, yeah, the rivalry's there, but these were two men who had massive respect for each other. So basically, they were the Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone of the racing world.
Not quite, because they were friends. They did actually live together for a point in their career. Like they were actually genuinely friends. They were very competitive, but they actually got along really well, which is not what the movie is stating. So, but in the terms of what the movie's doing, yes, they are the Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone of the racing world. I have a big problem when it comes to F1. I think I have a slight allergy to it. My least favorite movie of last year was F1. That movie just bored me to tears. I don't like Gran Torino. If I'm gonna I don't like sports at all, but I do tend to get into sports movies because you're right. I think it's about the characterizations, their wants and needs, and they can play it through, and they can show that through their love for the sport. And it's very kinetic and it's very filmic. F1 is not filmic. If you watch F1, it's boring as watching paint dry. Like it's just literally them talking about tires for like 60% of the movie. Only did that once in Rush, and I was thankful. But I really did love how the racing was shot in this movie. It felt kinetic. It felt invigorating. The camera angles they managed to get on it, the sense of danger. This was a time when if you could license an F1 to do a story about it, but they weren't necessarily in control of the image. So it wasn't excessively shiny and excessively polished. There was still that. And this is set in the 1970s. People were dying left and right in the sport. Like, it's still a very dangerous sport today, but back in the day, it was really, really dangerous. The fact that James Hunt died of a heart attack and Niki Lauda survived that crash are insane.
Oh yeah, definitely. And also, too, I would say what makes this film very interesting to me, especially in regards to Ron Howard's other films. Like, you look at all of his other films prior to this one, and, they're very shot like big Hollywood movies, so they're very traditional. Like, I keep using the journeyman kind of thing because, again, with journeyman filmmakers compared to auteurs, journeymen don't really have a particular style. They just, like, adapt to whatever genre or their story they're tackling.
Whatever their next gig is, they will just go, right, what is this movie? I will make it to the style.
Yeah, exactly. But with something like Rush, like, you could see Ron Howard really experimenting with the visual style. And I think it also helps, like, Anthony Dodd Mantell, who worked with Lars von Trier, shot 28 Days Later and won an Oscar for Slumdog Millionaire and also shot Dread prior to this. You can tell, like, Ron Howard kind of stepped up his game in terms of, like, if you're going to work with someone who has a cinematographer who has a very distinct visual style like Anthony Dodd Mantell, you're going to have to up your game as well. So you can see, like visually the movie looks great and very stylish. And you just see Howard just doing some really interesting experimental things with the cinematography in this one.
Yeah, I still think the best people to ever shoot an F1 race is the Wachowskis. And yes, I read Speed Racer is not exactly accurate, but just the way they were able to shoot those races, I think, is absolutely insane. And I think you can see it a little bit in Rush, and I think you can absolutely see it in Ford versus Ferrari. Some of the way I'm like, oh, Wachowskis, that Speed Racer. God, I got to do a Speed Racer episode one day. But I really loved it how, it's very stylish. It's not quite like, say, Ford versus Ferrari, where you're really kind of feeling the power of the car and the speed and kind of how it kind of flies around a track. This is kind of, I think F1 tried to do this. You're trying to see all the moving parts within it. Like, my favorite shot is when Hemsworth is having sex with the air hostess, and then you see the pistons and the thing going up and down from the next shot. And this is Hans Zimmer's best F1 score. I mean, I know people are saying the F1 score was good, but have you heard the score for Rush? That is Hans Zimmer on all cylinders.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, it's definitely a very underrated score from Hans Zimmer, because that's the thing. Like, I think it's one of those movies where you can tell that everyone involved didn't just want to make a standard car racing film. Like, they wanted to do something interesting with this one, whether it is from the filmmaking to the cinematography, and also kind of maybe even making it a little bit seedy and gritty in parts as well. And And I like the fact that the film really kind of showcases that. And also you get these two strong performances at the start of it at the center of it with both Hemsworth and Brule. So yeah, it's a really interesting thing. I feel like this was kind of like a transitional type of film for Ron Howard now that he's sort of getting older. He's doing for the next decade he would kind of mix match different kind of
after
films.
This his career gets very spotty. Like, I don't think I really do actually like his solo movie. I'll just never forget the line, "Do you have any family?" "No, so you're solo."
I mean, they could have easily have taken that line out, but that's why Ron Howard was the perfect person to take over that movie after all the troubles, because he could just go in and get it done. And of course, less about Hillbilly Elegy, the better, especially this day and age.
No, we don't talk about that movie. That movie's not my business. Yeah.
Yeah, although he did follow that up with an actual really good one, 13 Lives, which I thought was really,
I haven't seen that one. Yeah, because I have fallen off Ron Howard, and I think it might have been Hillbilly Elegy. But I was like, I don't want to. Do I really need to do this?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's definitely his filmmaking. His filmography after Rush was a bit spotty, but you could definitely tell he was trying to do different things. Like, that's why it's interesting, even though I wasn't the biggest fan of this one, but his follow-up film to Rush, In the Heart of the Sea, he brought Anthony Dodd Mantell back for that. And even though I was kind of mixed on the film personally,
me too,
visually it is an absolutely stunning movie. Probably the most beautifully stunning film that Ron Howard has ever made.
It is a very good looking movie. Because I think Ron Howard has always bounced from kind of movie to movie. He's very good at these kind of crowd pleasing movies where even though you kind of know the outcome, you're still excited. I think that it speaks to Apollo 13 and Frost versus Nixon, where you know where it's going to lead, but you kind of want to see it happen. Like, every time I watch Apollo 13, I'm like, wait, are they going to get back? Are they going to be stuck in space? No, I know they get back because that's what happened to Apollo 13. His 80s, I still haven't seen the paper. There's actually quite a few. He's made a lot of movies, Bede. Like, that's seriously.
He has made a lot of movies of all different genres.
Yeah, he has made a lot of movies. So it's kind of hard to sort of go, oh, I like this one, no, I don't like this one, what's going on with this one? But yeah, I think in the last kind of decade since this one, I think his work has been more patchy. I still need to see the one with them saving the Thai kids out of the rock, the cave. Yeah, I think We're Out of the Water is an okay movie. I think it looks good. I just think something's missing from that. But I love, like, Parenthood. I always loved The Da Vinci Code, and Angels and Demons. I think those movies are very flawed, but he obviously always has had a special relationship with Tom Hanks because Splash kind of both made them. So I think they've always had that kind of. Oh yeah, he directed Willow. Willow's great. So I'm just going through his filmography.
Yeah, well, I'm going through his filmography as well. Like, obviously made Backdraft, which was basically a classic.
Oh, that's
of the
great.
90s.
That's a great one. Yeah, no, he's really good at these kind of crowd pleaser. Cocoon. He's really good at kind of these very, maybe not Far and Away. Ransom, I would still think is solid. But these really kind of good crowd pleasers where he puts you in safe hands, where you can feel the tension, even though you're never going to go to despair. And I think that is Rush, because the whole movie is these two opposing philosophies on racing. James Hunt lives large, wants to go hard. He doesn't really care. He's going to live in the moment. He's not really thinking about tomorrow. So he's going to take that corner too fast. He's going to have that. So many threesomes. I mean, I know we joke about, what's that Clint Eastwood movie? The Mule. Is it The Mule?
Oh, The Mule, yes.
Yeah, when he has like two threesomes. I'm like, well, it's Hemsworth, so it's not like as extraordinary. It's like, yeah, that probably happens all the time. But constantly, it's like two women in bed. Poor Susie Wilde. it's he marries a model who would go on to marry Richard Burton. I heard that they were thinking of actually putting Richard Burton in the movie and having Russell Crowe play him. I'm like, that was a missed opportunity. I need Russell Crowe playing Richard Burton now.
I mean, yeah, I would have loved to have seen that as well. But I will say, though, like,
it would have been wrong, but it would have been great.
Yes. But I will say, though, I do think if any flaws I do find with the movie are definitely the supporting characters like Olivia Wilde as Susie Miller.
Oh, you mean
again, she doesn't really sort of given that much to do. Yes, well, essentially, yeah. This is one where it is focusing on the rivalry and bromance between Hunt and Lauder. So any other characters, whether they are women or men, are basically pushed to the sideline of this movie. I mean, even Natalie Dormer from Game of Thrones, who I always keep forgetting is in this movie, she's basically gone after the first 10 minutes. It's like she beds James Hunt and then we never see her again. It's like on to the next woman for James Hunt.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're trying to say, look, James Hunt was sleeping with these beautiful women. So they're trying to put, no, Game of Thrones hadn't happened yet. And I don't think Natalie Dormer was on Game of Thrones at this point. So I think she was still kind of she was kind of more of a working actor around in Britain who was kind of getting a name of herself, but she wasn't quite that. Olivia Wilde was absolutely that. And then they also cast a really well-known German actress to play Niki Lauda's wife, who she's very good. She's a very good actor. She's also, you will know her from, she's the secretary in Downfall. So she is the main character in the Screaming Hitler movie. So that's where you know her. So I think they're trying to get this kind of, we'll get these high-quality sort of female actors in, and it's like, but then you give them nothing to do. I mean, the whole scene when Nicky's trying to put his helmet back on after his wounds have not healed yet, and she's just looking concerned. I'm like, this is a good actor. Can we give her something to do other than just look concerned, please? Even Ford versus Ferrari gave Christian Bale's wife, like, a character.
I mean, basically, like, Penelope Cruz in that movie kind of stole the whole movie for me, so...
Yeah, and Ferrari, she is just like, I hate you. This is my company. I will take it. And if you have a son and didn't tell me that, well, we're having words. No, yeah. So I think that is definitely a shortfall of the movie. But you're right. The other actors do not matter in this at all. It is Hemsworth and Lauder. And sorry, Brawl.
Yeah, well, luckily they're both great. Particularly Daniel Bruhl as Niki Lauda. Like, he pretty much is the whole film.
Did Daniel Bruhl's accent throw you when you first heard it?
Well, I know he's like...
He's doing Lauda. If you listen to Lauda, that's what he sounds like. But I was like, what are we doing, Daniel? What is this?
Well, that's the thing, because I know he's studied the accent for like months to get it
moved
correct.
To Austria, which is a different accent.
Yeah, he did move to Austria, Yeah, so him sort of try to perfect Lauda's accent, and I think he does a really good job. And I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all. Like, he got all the nominations and accolades for it. But I do remember when the Oscars did happen that year, people were legit shocked he didn't get a supporting actor nomination for that film, because he was nominated everywhere except for the Oscars.
It is a really good performance. I would say he gets a little bit repetitive because he's the one constantly saying, I calculate risk, I do that, I do this. But no, he worked a lot on the accent because I know what Daniel Bruhl sounds like. And he is a good German actor. So when that accent came out of his mouth, because I don't necessarily know the difference between an Austrian accent and a German accent, what is he doing? And then I looked up an interview with Niki Lauda. And that's not what the man sounds like.
Let's not forget the teeth too, Lindsay.
Oh, because my Lord, yes.
Because Lauda had a very specific, set of teeth, and they had to replicate that for the movie as well.
I know, and just like Hemsworth walked out, not even, he probably did have a wink, but it was just him rolling out of bed going, I'm James Hunt and I'll do my Thor voice. Are we good? We're good. Like, it's...
you know for a fact he walked off probably like the Avengers into this movie, because he still has that forehead. I mean, obviously you had to cut it a little bit and shave. He would not
fit in a car, in a freaking Formula One car. Bullshit. I go bullshit.
Indeed. But yeah, I think they both do really good work, but it really is Daniel Bruhl who kind of does make the movie. I mean, I don't want to shortchange Chris Hemsworth, but it's kind of a role. I don't want to say Hemsworth is taking a lazy approach or anything to the role, but this is the type of role you would say, oh, Hemsworth could easily do this type of role in his sleep, because it's kind of got a lot of energy with the performance.
He's very good. I mean, I just saw Crime 101, and I think I've discovered I'm not the biggest Hemsworth gal. Only because I think Chris Hemsworth does a few things really well, and when he's trying to kind of stretch himself into something else, I think he's a little bit miscast, because it's meant to be this awkward guy who's very planned, who doesn't like making eye contact, just kind of looking around the room because he's constantly worried if someone's going to come after him. this is Chris Hemsworth. This is a guy who does not have problems with women. I mean, he is an Adonis. Like, can we be a little bit more realistic? This guy not being able to flirt with Monica Adam. I will say playing James Hunt is perfect casting, because if you look at footage, and James Hunt was that guy. He loved the celebrity life. He loved to win. He loved racing. He loved the attention. He was a very upper class British boy. He got into it because he didn't want to work. So he became a race car driver.
And also, too, I think what's interesting, and again, sort of looking at the film and also the performances, like, it's interesting to me, like, I can definitely see what you mean with, like, when you kind of see, I mean, I do like Chris Hemsworth, and I do appreciate when he does try to stretch himself a little bit.
Oh, yeah. No, I want you to see Crime 101, because I think he's trying to stretch himself, and I'm not sure how I feel about it. So,
yeah, it's kind of like you can definitely stretch yourself as an actor or try different things, but it kind of needs to make sense for the character. But it will never be as jarring as, I don't know if you ever saw the film Poker Face, where his brother Liam Hemsworth is in it with Russell Crowe. I watched that as part of my Janu Aussie viewing, and my jaw literally dropped. Where basically Russell Crowe and Liam Hemsworth's characters were meant to be childhood best friends, and I'm like, what? But there's like a nearly 30-year age gap between them, and it's like, but then when it gets to the present, they put Liam Hemsworth in basically older makeup to make him at least look the same age as Russell Crowe and everyone else in that movie.
Look, I did an episode on this with Nadine, and we talked about Poker Face, and it was just us going, Liam Hemsworth is not 53. What is that? God, Poker Face is an extraordinary movie, not in the right ways, but it is Russell Crowe bored during the pandemic. So he makes a movie, puts his artwork in there. It's about 3 different storylines that make no sense together. Why there is an art heist while they are playing poker, I will never know. But essentially, Poker Face is Rusty trying to say, "Can someone please paint me for the Archibald Portrait Prize, please?" That is the aim of that movie. Because someone just randomly wants to paint him. I'm like, they choose figures in society people know generally for the Archibald Prize. Like, it's a pretty prestigious. They will go to like ex-politicians, ex-artists, kind of thing. And there's a random dude who owns a nice car. Can I take a photo so I can paint you for the Archibald Prize? I'm like, what? How?
It is a weird movie.
I adore it for the wrong reasons. It's just ego on display.
Yeah. I mean, I love Rusty. I will never hate Rusty because it. But that casting choice is Liam Hemsworth to be the same age as Rusty in that film. I'm like, that is the most bizarre miscasting in the history of cinema.
I would believe it more if Chris was his best friend. I mean, still the age gap would be
I would
wild,
too.
But I would believe it more that they were childhood best friends more than Liam. What the hell? No, watch Poker Face. It is demented.
And also, it's a Rusty project. He had to get his best friend RZA to appear in that movie randomly as well.
And I know, and I think him and Liam are general friends now because they appear a lot together in movies. I think they like to hang out.
I mean, my favorite obsession, and this is just to show how my weird things, Lindsay, are weird celebrity friendships. Like, I find Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart's friendship as delightfully weird as it is. I feel like Russell Crowe and RZA is also on that kind of same level. Yeah. They worked together on American Gangster, and they've been besties ever since.
Sometimes it just happens. And I love American Gangster. Like, I think that movie is awesome. I think I like it a little, even though I think it's really wobbly, I think I like it a little bit more than Gladiator. And I can't believe I just said that on a podcast. I know. Yeah, like, please watch Poker Face. You will not believe what you're watching. Like, you think that My Beloved Pope's Exorcist is a weird movie? Watch Poker Face. Like, it's just... I would own that. If I actually should see if there's a Blu-ray, because I do want to own that movie. But it's... Going back to, yes, I'm not always the biggest Chris Hemsworth person, and I don't necessarily know why. It's just he's really pretty to look at. And I think he does when he's in it, when he does something really well, I think it's good. And I think he's actually doing James Hunt really well. I just found Daniel Bruhl, because he's just the more the character actor guy, far more interesting, with his weird teeth, his weird accent, and his kind of weird mannerisms. I mean, the scene when he's driving the car with the guys because he's like, my bum knows how to read a car, like that weird scene. And then all of a sudden it's like, this is Niki Lauda. She's like, I don't believe it's Niki Lauda. This guy is a slow shit driver. And then all of a sudden he just goes, okay, if you want to see me drive, here we go. And then the foot goes down and then the gears start. I'm just like, yes.
Those two guys who owned that car were having the greatest day of their life. And
oh my God.
I mean, to be fair, if Niki Lauda or some famous driver was on the side of the road, I picked them up and I let them drive my car, and I would get them to.
Lewis Hamilton's on the side of the road, you pick him up, you're getting him to drive.
Exactly, I would, and I'm not even a person who really cares for car racing. I would have let them do it.
Hey, this shows how much little I know. I picked Lewis Hamilton, which I think he's retired by this stage, so I know nothing about Formula One.
Definitely.
And what did you think of the crash scene?
I mean, it is a very effective crash scene, and I liked how at least it tried to recreate it as much as possible, especially from Lauda's point of view, because they actually show the actual footage on a TV screen.
They do, yeah.
Afterwards,
it was filmed, so you have a semblance of what actually happened.
Yeah, so it's interesting kind of seeing that and also seeing the real life comparison to see how close they wanted to replicate it. But I think it's also very effective too when you're actually seeing it from Lauda's point of view. Him with all these flames just around him, and like him trying to get out of that car because he knows like he could die at any moment.
Yeah.
I mean, if the car doesn't explode, the flames would most likely kill him.
Yes.
And it is a very frightening scene. It's not the most horrific car crash scene I've seen in a movie like this.
Ferrari.
I think the scene. Yeah, that is Ferrari. That was absolutely horrifying, that scene. But this is still a pretty effective scene, though.
No, I guess I think the difference is because there is footage of that crash happening. It was a very famous crash. They stopped using that track after that crash. So it's not like, because I think back in the day in the 50s, people just died doing this. And then as F1 just got more and more money into it, they realized that we might have to protect our money makers. People are coming to see Niki Lauda, they're coming to see James Hunt, they're coming to see Michael Schumacher, they're coming to see Lewis Hamilton. Sorry, I cannot think of anyone past Lewis, sorry. So we need to protect them in certain ways to make sure this looks as dangerous as possible, but still is the safest as possible. And that's what the movie ultimately is about. Because there's a scene, I think, is it before Niki and James Hunt go on their first race together, and there's the crash, and everyone just goes, "Oh no, that's a bad crash," and then they just start the next race like 5 minutes afterward.
They have a vote and they decide to go ahead, and pretty much kind of proves like Niki Lauda was right about the conditions of what that track was like during that race, which again almost killed him.
No, you're absolutely right about that. Like, because Niki's keeps hammering the point home. I know I study how the tires hit the road, what kind of condition, what the bend, how the car's moving, and he constantly brags at people, I'm a better racer than you because I know how to get the car better. Like I'm doing this as safely as possible. I want to win so I can win more races. And that's why I'm number one. And Hunter's coming in going, I don't like you. I find you annoying, yet I respect you because you keep beating me. But I want to win. And I always find it fascinating with sport movies that are based on points. Like I'm doing Rocky actually, spoilers. Rocky might be, the episode might be coming up after this, but I was watching Rocky and I keep forgetting that the final fight between Apollo Creed and Rocky is based on points. And so they're adding them up after the final bell goes, because the whole point is that Rocky's able to stay for every single round. And same with this. I mean, Niki, in the final race in Japan, I think it is, Niki goes, no, I'm not racing. It's too wet. I think it's too dangerous. I'm not going to do it. James Hunt comes third, but because he's got enough points, beats Niki Lauda in the overall season. Like, I always find those fascinating. It's not like a one-to-one race, if that makes sense. It's not like I got first, I got the most points. In a lot of sports movies, it's purely, oh, I came third, but yet I won.
Brake system when it comes to Formula One racing. So I was kind of like, oh, they actually do that for this. Like, I knew they did that for something like boxing and other contact sports, but I didn't expect it for something like Formula One racing. But I suppose when you're doing it, like you do it like a season type thing where all these different races are going on and they're all going from country to country. Like, obviously you would think, okay, whoever wins is the winner of the race. But it's like, oh, if you're doing a whole season of this, you're going to have some kind of pointing system or something like that.
Exactly. But I just think it makes the little ending a little anticlimactic. Like, even in something like Ford versus Ferrari, it's like Christian Bale's character is already ahead. He's already going to win no matter what. He wants to be the first across the line. But because they want that moment of the 3 Ford cars going across the line together, even though it means that he won't win, but he's going to win anyway. It was like wait, I'm confused. So it's not like a race where the first person wins. It's like a combination of points and how many times you've done the lap, or something like that.
Yep.
I know nothing about racing.
Yeah. Indeed. I mean, again, I don't know enough about racing as well. Hence why I just watch just movies about racing because they simplify it for me as a viewer.
Yes, but then they'll still go, he came third, so therefore he won. I'm like, wait, what? Okay. Sure. But yeah, just so annoying for the guy to actually win that race. He came first and yet he didn't win. It's like, oh, that's gotta be annoying. No, I think this is a really strong Ron Howard movie. I think it does everything it needs to, which is what a good Ron Howard movie is.
Agreed. Like, I think it's definitely a really interesting film in Howard's career, not in terms of the content itself, in terms of the writing, because I could see another version of this story where he could have just shot it in a very traditional type of way, like his other prior works, especially with other biopics that he has made in the past, like A Beautiful Mind, Cinderella Man, Apollo 13, where they're kind of pretty straightforward in their filmmaking. But I think what makes this one at least stand out, though, is like you can obviously tell, given that this is a film that deals with Formula One racing, he had to kind of make the racing scenes exciting. Hence why he is very experimental with the visual style, and having someone like Anthony Dodd Mantell, who has worked with like Danny Boyle, Lars von Trier, and so many other, auteurish filmmakers, to kind of bring something interesting to this film. And I think they do such a really interesting and creative job with both the filmmaking and the cinematography. And it doesn't surprise me at all that, again, they would re-team again after this, which for another film, because I feel like, this is definitely up there for me as like one of Ron Howard's most visually stunning movies.
Yeah, and he's not known for a visual guy. I mean, so I'm just trying to find the director of F1, Joseph Kowalski. Take note, please, because your F1 things were boring. No, I think you do have to be a bit experimental when you're shooting F1, because I think it can get very samey very, very quickly, which is why I really appreciated what Ron Howard did with those visuals. They were generally captivating and they were generally interesting.
Yeah, it was really good to kind of go back and give this film another watch. Like, I hadn't seen it since it came out. So it's good to kind of like go back and revisit movies like this. Like movies that you thought, this was really good. Not one I would probably watch again soon. I mean, usually I kind of like, for example, when I buy movies and stuff like that, it's movies that I either know I'm going to rewatch a lot, whether it is for either entertainment value or for something like is going to kind of fulfill me on a critical thematic level. So with something like Rush, it wasn't really sort of either one for me. I thought, this was a really good movie. Not something I would rush, no pun intended, back to see it at some point. But it was nice to revisit this film after so long and actually having. I mean, my rating for it is still exactly the same because I gave it a 4 then and I still give it a 4 now. But there are definitely a lot of elements of it that I do appreciate.
You were going into this because you like the adrenaline, though I think the adrenaline may have not been captured in the 1991 Rush as much as I would wanted it to, because I knew I was pairing it with this, and I knew that movie is all about adrenaline. And these two characters who feel adrenaline in very different ways. Like, Nikki wants to win, James wants to drive, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Anything else that you want to say before we finish up?
No, I think this was a really fun discussion talking about these two films. Usually when we do these 20 titles, Lindsay, usually it's either two films that are very well known to a lot of people, or maybe one's more well known, one's a little more sort of underrated. But I like the fact that with these two together, they're definitely very underrated movies for different reasons. And with something like Rush, when you talk about this one with people, it's like, oh yeah, I remember that movie with Chris Hemsworth. And with something like the 1991 Rush, it's like, oh, I've never seen that movie before. I need to check it out. So it's kind of cool we got to at least pair these two movies that really don't get much talked about these days. Not to say they're bad or anything like that. It's just like, oh, we're shedding a light on two movies that most audiences or listeners of your show haven't really either discovered yet or haven't seen for a long time, and should check them out and see how they feel about them.
Bring back the mid-level movie, like the mid-budget movie. These are both examples of that. And I miss mid-budget studio movies, and I miss them. Even though neither of these movies I loved, but I think I miss the mid-budget movie that you would get movies like this. And I think they're little interesting little time capsules of each time that they are made. And I think that is fascinating. Thank you so much for coming on for this. It's always a blast to hang out. I can't wait to do it again. But before we go, please tell people where they can find your good work.
Well, if people want to find me personally out there on the internet, you can follow me on Twitter, Blue Sky, Letterboxd under Bede Jermaine. You can also find my work, and as well as all the awesome podcasts that I co-host with our friend Super Marcy on the Super Network, on all podcast streamers everywhere, and also supermarcy.com. And also you can listen to my solo podcast, Bede versus the Living Dead, and its many spin-off shows on the Bede versus the Living Dead podcast feed on all podcast streamers everywhere. And also at the time of this recording, I recently dropped my interview with Tina Romero, director of Queens of the Dead, and definitely everyone give that one a listen, because I'm very happy with how that interview turned out. So definitely everyone give that one a listen.
I was going to mention that if you didn't, because that is very cool. I still need to see Queens of the Dead. Marcy has been on me to watch this. I apologize, Marcy. I will watch Queens of the Dead. I promise. No, that is, I've got it queued up to listen to, and I'm very excited because I knew you did this interview. I was like, you got Tina Romero? Holy shit.
I have my ways. I have my ways on how to make it, how to get people like getting guests to appear on my show.
You do a good job. Of course, Schlock Awe is on the pods. Please rate and review. Schlock Awe 1 on either, or Reading Geek on either Blue Sky, Instagram, or Letterboxd. And we will be back with another double feature. All right, thanks, guys. Bye.